Good afternoon. My name is PETROVICH Cheney. Thank you so much for joining me today here at the Fuller Craft Museum. This is a piece that's featured in this exhibit, and it is called Cornered. And if you're thinking, wow, it looks like a quilt, you are right. It is a quilt. And it is a quilt made from wood collected after natural disasters such as the 2012 Hurricane Sandy or the 2016 Gatlinburg fires. Quilts for me, represent comfort, home, and security. And we're going to talk a little bit about my practice today. When Hurricane Sandy had hit, I was living in Asbury Park, New Jersey, and I was able to collect a lot of wood. And I put all the wood back from my community that I could. In a way, it was giving me comfort in trying to make order out of all the disorder. It also affected me so personally because my parents' home was destroyed, my childhood shore house. This is an image of my father. And during the process of repairing his home, he died of a heart attack, and several months later, my mother. So for me, losing home became a bigger disaster. In 2016, I was invited down to Gatlinburg, Tennessee, to collect wood from their fires. Before we take a look at the in-depth process, let me share with you my studio. I'm so lucky to have this beautiful studio above my garage. It's a two-car garage, so the space is pretty large. What you're seeing here is an old-fashioned design table where I make my work. And milk crates are a vital part of my practice because they hold all my wood. Here are some more milk crates under my table. And as you can see, I really don't throw any pieces away. I save little triangles, little squares, and I keep them in these milk crates under the table, on the side of the table, in my garage. Can you tell that I was an elementary school teacher with access to these crates? Anyhow, this is my sander. We'll take a look at that in a little bit. The filtration system for that sander. Over here we have my chop saw, which I will also be demonstrating and explaining why I have this crazy pink board there. And over on the right hand corner you can see my baby bandsaw. This is another view of that table, and we're going to take a look at that piece over there in the corner. That's my table saw, and this table saw I use primarily to cut my boards. The boards are the backing for my pieces. After I cut the board, I prime them, and you can see that primed piece is on the left-hand side, and I actually will draw a grid mark according to the design. Here are some images of some works in progress where my grid marks are pretty clear, and they just designate mostly lights or dark colors. So what I'm going to show you right here in my studio is how I work. Just like a quilter has yardage of fabric, I have wood material, and this right here is a 1x4. But this 1x4 is a little too big to put on my bandsaw. So I'm going to show you how I make this smaller by bringing it over to my miter saw. Let's take a walk over. So this is my miter saw, and this pink contraption here keeps the dust at a minimum for me. So I've already measured this before, and I'm going to just cut this down into a smaller, more workable piece. Okay, so now I have a much more workable piece, and what I do now is I use material like a quilter's ruler and this other ruler. If you're a quilter, you know these things are so important in what you do. And they are for me as well, because these are wood quilts. So I'm going to measure my lines here. And now we're going to go over to the bandsaw. Okay, so here we are, and this is my favorite machine. This is the one I use mostly. So we're going to cut these pieces down. moving the pieces that I don't need into my scrap pile so I can use them for later. Now these edges are kind of rough, so now I'm going to sand them on my sander. So I have the blue pieces cut, and I'm going to line them up to the piece that was already cut from before and check my work. And they should fit if my measurements are correct. And I'm noticing here that I do have to take a little bit off the blue, maybe just a resanding instead of a recutting, but that's it. So the old adage, measure twice, cut once, works every time. Hey everybody, so we're here in Salem, Massachusetts in my storage unit to answer two of the most popular questions that I get. The first question that I get is, am I ever afraid of running out of wood? And the answer to that question is no, I'm not afraid of running out of wood. I lived through Hurricane Sandy and experienced some of the worst of the natural disasters ever. And I was able to collect so much of it because I lived through it. And the second question that I get is, do I paint the wood? And the answer to that is absolutely not. I was fortunate enough to find so many wonderful colors in this world. In fact, let me show you some of them. Right here, I have this incredible orange. This was from a kitchen cabinet in Ocean, New Jersey. And it was really great that I could collect all the kitchen cabinets that were this color. I have over here this huge kitchen cabinet with the door handles still on. It's a beautiful light blue, sky blue color. Here, picked up from Bay Head, New Jersey, was this incredibly lovingly hand-painted purple or lilac dresser top, complete with the little trim on it. I mean, what a gorgeous color. I also have this dark green trim, and I have this other kind of floor trim that's green. It has this cool little edge to it. I have over here a purple and red and blue door. I have an orange side of a boat. I have green floorboards. I have yellow siding. I have white. I have gray. And I have some really cool dark blue. Don't tell anybody, this will be our secret. But behind me, I have a police barricade that's a gorgeous dark blue. So as you can see, it's pretty obvious. I'll probably never run out of wood. As long as there's natural disasters, I'll always have the opportunity. So back in my Marblehead studio, I have a little desk where I work on my sketchbook. The sketchbook is also a journal and filled with graph paper. And I'm going to show you what inspired Cornered. It was a calf faucet quilt with the block being in the the bottom left-hand corner, and the 45-degree angle pieces surrounded it, all pointed up to the left. And I drew this out so that the piece cornered is 36 by 36. And I just was not happy with the block being up at the left-hand side. It just wasn't feeling right. And you could see that here, that was where it was supposed to be. And I played around with it and made them. I even made smaller pieces to fit, and it just didn't feel right. So I deviated from the plan and decided to put the block in the middle. It felt more stable and felt more secure, and the end result is this piece. Thank you for tuning in, and I really hope you have an opportunity to see Cornered, as well as many, many other great works in Shelter Place Social Distance, a newest exhibit at the Fuller Craft Museum in Brockton, Massachusetts. Thank you.